So that's why I added from the heart to make very clear that it's about entering through the heart. So then I start to realize it's an initiation. It's not just a workshop. It's not just learning some tools, but it's a journey. Memory actually truly are beyond the stories, beyond the projections, beyond. And when we realize we're not alone and not the only one, the shame goes, and then the healing can start. Because we get more to a state of surrender and we're like, okay, how to work with it instead of trying to deny it, repress it. It's something that shouldn't be there. But you're doing your best, I love you, let's go for it. And we'll make mistakes. I think it will go wrong. We will be maybe ridiculous. We will be amazing. But I still love you. Yeah, so this is always a big invitation.
The aha moment was, I need to find this in myself. Because clearly if I'm seeking in others, it means I don't have it to myself. And it's like, that's a hard thing to realize, is I don't unconditionally love myself. Welcome everyone. I'm here with Leonie Louis from Tantra from the Heart. 6 years in Copenhagen. You've been giving Tantra trainings, initiations. First question is, there's so many Tantra schools, places out there. Why do your own?
Why do I own training? It's a calling. It's a calling from inside. It just happens. It's like an artist. I feel like an artist. I need to paint. Artists need to paint. They need to create. It moves through them. And for me, facilitating Tantra is like making art together. It's something I need to express. It runs through my body. Yeah.
What makes it different?
Different from other schools.
Yeah.
What I hear back is that people really appreciate my work because they say I create a safe space. I don't want to say I create a safe space because you can never create a safe space. It's a co-creation.
Yeah.
But what I hear a lot of people say, I co-create a safe space. What else? What makes it different? That's a very good question, because then I go with my head in comparison. I don't know, let's ask this question later. I don't know.
Okay. Not an interesting question.
It's like I go to the mental.
So Tantra from the heart. Why from the heart?
This is the dancers through the heart. So actually the feminine. And there's so much misunderstanding about Tantra. People think it's about conscious sexuality, it's about orgies, it's about open relationship. So that's why I added from the heart to make very clear that it's about entering through the heart.
So no orgies at your in your training?
No.
Okay.
It's not happening, sorry.
And what's some of the things that people have said to you after taking these trainings?
When I started, I didn't actually really know what I was doing. I got a little bit of training. I had some tools. I had my background as a clinical psychologist. And then it started to move through me, and I got visions, and I just followed the energy. And then slowly along the way, I understood, what am I actually doing? What's happening here? What is the effect? Because it didn't came from my rational mind. It came from my deep feeling, intuition, from my heart. And I called spirit, whatever that means, my higher self, something I cannot fully explain. So then I started to realize it's an initiation. It's not just a workshop. It's not just learning some tools, but it's a journey. It's an initiation for many people. Of course, not for everyone, but for many people it is. So it really changes something in their lives. Yeah, so it's what I do, I go into the rewiring also. What did we learn when we grew up? What is society saying us? How do we work with our life force energy? How do we express our desires? How do we express our boundaries? Yeah, so I figured out that what I do is initiation. And that's different than providing a workshop. So in an initiation, it's like a journey. Everything is woven together. Everything is fine-tuned. You go from one layer into the other, and it's like a build-up and at the same time a deepening. And in initiation, we go beyond the rational mind, but first we need to feel safe. We need to a little bit understand what's happening. We need to be in a safe container to really trust ourselves, trust the field. And then something opens in the subconscious, something opens in the body that often we didn't even realize were there. So Tantra from the heart, I realized, is about initiation. So I started to see the effects of the workshops, and I started to get the feedback a lot that it really changes something in their lives. And sometimes they were not even conscious of it, but they saw the results. So I realized there's a big difference between a workshop or initiation. And a workshop is more bringing some tools together and some practices, and you do some work. Workshop. And initiation is more about surrender. It's about surrender so you can go deep inside of yourself, deep into the subconscious, deep into the body, clear out anything you don't, or the things you don't need anymore, that you're ready to release, any limitations that you once put on yourself, society put on you, that unconsciously came in your system through your parents, and at the same time opening up the life force energy that's already there. The sexual creative energy, which is super powerful. It's the energy we're born of. So they come together when you go on an initiation process. You really actually open up your inner power, your inner strength. So it's a lot about remembering. Yeah, remembering actually you truly are beyond the stories, beyond the projections, beyond the idea of what you think you are.
Have you noticed that when you're doing these initiations, there's like common patterns or common things that are coming up for a lot of people? I mean, we like to think of ourselves as these individuals, and we have very minutiae details in our lives. I'm noticing doing a lot of transformative work that there's seems to be these sort of common things that come up with many people, right? Very similar limiting beliefs, very similar trauma around sexuality or body shame or things of the sort, right? What are some of the themes that you're seeing coming up while doing this work?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So already when I was working as a clinical psychologist, I started to see I was often thinking I wish I could bring all my clients together and we could have a conversation together so they realize they're not alone.
Yeah.
And when we realize we're not alone and not the only one, the shame goes, and then the healing can start. Because we get more into a state of surrender and we're like, okay, how to work with it instead of trying to deny it, repress it. It's something that shouldn't be there. So first of all, I want to acknowledge what you say. It's really beautiful, to see okay, we are in a way in the same boat. We are in this human experience, I see our souls are in this body and in this mind, having this human experience, and we have common themes coming up. So there's many different themes actually coming up, and at the same time, we're super unique. We all have our gift to give. We all have our weird, awkward, amazing, angle of things. So it's a big contradiction. In a way, we're a unique piece of art, and at the same time, we're the same. We have the same beating heart. We breathe the same breath, the same life force flows through us. So to really find that balance anyway between authenticity and this is who I am and this is my unique self and this is actually what we have in common and we're all on this journey. Mm-hmm. The inner critic, most of us have overdeveloped inner critic. We hyper-focus on specific things that are not right instead of seeing the totality of ourselves. And this happens a lot when we look at our bodies. We often zoom into a certain area. It should be like this compared to the other person. This person, whatever, has amazing legs or this kind of hair or ears. And so there's a lot of judgment and criticism about our physical form. And when we realize we all criticize, and even the most, when you think this person looks amazing, is perfect, and shares the self-criticism about their physical form, wow, okay, I'm not alone. And we're perfect and we're so imperfect. So one is really how we experience our body and also how we experience our being. The fear of rejection. And when we realize we all have the fear of, most of us, there's some masters like you that don't have the fear of rejection. But this is so deep rooted in our DNA, in our surviving mechanism. It goes straight beyond the rational mind into our being oh, I got rejected. And then they see everybody gets rejected. Everybody, on the Tantra retreats, some people don't want to work with this person. Some people know with this. So it comes up a lot. So what I do then, I say, okay, I hope you get rejected at least 2 times today, So you bring it to the field. Let's bring it to the field and let's even laugh about it. So this is another common thing. It's the fear of rejection that's really deeply rooted inside of our being because we're tribal beings. So in the past, if you will be thrown out of the tribe and you will be rejected, you will die. It will be the end of your life because you need the tribe for offspring, for surviving, resources. So that's why it's so deeply rooted. And nowadays, you're maybe not invited in the party, and you're like your neighbor's having a party with nice music and having fun, and you're not invited. And then the same feeling of I'm gonna die comes up. So it's we need to learn to look at this and see, hey, am I actually gonna die, or is it just uncomfortable? And does it mean there's something wrong with me? So this is another thing that comes up a lot is self-value, self-esteem, worthiness. I believe being human being comes together with having issues around self-esteem. It's just what it is. All of us have some kind of issue in self-esteem. Yeah, but it depends on different areas, on different levels. At least that's what I notice in myself, in others. I rarely meet someone that is very grounded in healthy self-esteem on all levels. When I meet them, it's amazing. It's like, give me the transmission. But yeah, so this is a very common theme. Like, how can we still feel worthy even though we get rejected? Even though maybe things don't go the way we wanted, even though we said something that was maybe a little bit weird. How can we feel the self-esteem, the value inside, and don't see it as a confirmation of you're not valuable? So we want to stop playing the game. Am I valuable? Am I not? Am I valuable? No, you are valuable. You are okay. And from there you have experiences that can help you grow. So this is a very common theme.
So 3 themes that you're seeing come up consistently in your work is the overdeveloped inner critic, the fear of rejection, and just general self-worth.
Yeah. So this is I think the self-worth is the starting point. So I think it's so important for me. And when I talk to you, I also talk to myself, is to welcome ourselves every day in the day. Every morning say, hey, you're welcome. We're here now. Let's give it a try. Life is complex. It's full of challenges. But you're doing your best. I love you. Let's go for it. And we'll make mistakes. Things will go wrong. We will be maybe ridiculous. We will be amazing. But I still love you. Yeah, so this is always a big invitation. When you include yourself in this present moment, life starts to include you.
Beautiful. I was doing a workshop back in New York, and we called it Naked Space, and it was very simple. I think you call it an undressing ritual, which basically we just get in a circle, and one by one, we stand up in front of the group, and you take off as many clothes as you feel comfortable as you talk about the relationship that you have with this part of your body. This is my hair. It's really curly. When I was a kid, I used to straighten it because I wanted straight hair. And then you hear the people that have the straight hair wishing that they had curly hair. And then this is my nose, and these are my breasts, or this is my cock. And like, I think it's too small and I'm afraid to show it. And you just talk about it. And then when you hear that everyone's saying the same things to themselves, that overdeveloped inner critic, and you look at this person being like, they're so beautiful, their body is so incredible, and you're like, how could you think that about your body? Your body's so incredible. And then everyone's thinking the same thing. And at the end, you're just sitting there, derobed, talking to each other, realizing that we all are going through the same thing, right? And I've noticed this fear of showing our bodies. I was not naked in front of my peers until I was 42 years old. 42 years old. I had so much shame from Catholicism and Christianity, where like a man's body, if it's naked, is aggressive. It's like, God, if you see your penis, if someone sees your penis, they're going to be like so offended, and it's like unsafe and hide, and then you go to places like Sweden and the whole families are going into saunas naked and no one's looking at each other weird, right? And it's like a lot of it's culture and religion, but most of us are holding self-shame or an inner critic to our own bodies, which is like, this is the thing that's carrying me, right? Whatever consciousness I have is most likely inside of me to a certain degree. This is the body that's carrying that. So what would you say to people that are having that inner critic? Is there anything that you can tell them that can help change that perspective of that strong inner critic that's saying, I'm not pretty enough, or this part of my body isn't beautiful enough. I need to change it, get plastic surgery, implants, lip fillers, whatever it is. There's a lot available these days.
Yeah, wow, that's a very broad question. Let me tune in. Yeah, what I would say, like, you are a piece of art, a unique creation, and everything tells a story. And there's beauty in growing older. There's wisdom we're gaining. And it's not anymore, at least in the past it was, and now it's not so celebrated anymore, growing older. So we need to stay conscious, we need to stay present and don't believe the stories and stay connected to our inner truth, our inner knowing, and that we're good as we are.
Is there any practices that you recommend to people that have that strong inner critic to themselves that they can do? Any affirmations or meditations that you find useful?
Yeah, for sure. I used to have an extreme inner critic inside. Like, it was so wired in my identity that I didn't even realize. If I wouldn't feel fully comfortable, I would even criticize how I would put the glass down, or like, and until I actually went in therapy myself, I started to become aware of it many years ago. I was like, what am I doing? I'm constantly criticizing myself. I didn't. So first of all, to become aware of it, it's painful, but that's the first step. To already bring it on the table. It's there. And then to realize, yeah, you're not alone. We all have this, most of us, have this overdeveloped inner critic. A little bit is good, because we need to be able to function in society and be sensitive. So it has its function, but it's just overworking. So one way I started to work with it, so that you cannot stop the voice of the inner critic. It's saying like, okay, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't think about two pink elephants. They're there. It's just there. And I started to have this vision that I saw this inner critic in front of a desk with a lot of papers and piles and working with phone calls and working really hard, to make sure I'm safe and I'm sharp and I don't forget things. And I saw this person really like sweaty and hot and overheated and really trying its best. So when I saw this vision, I was like, wow, this part is trying to help me, but it's not connected to the rest of my being. It's isolated. So it thinks it needs to do all the work from the mind. So instead of me criticizing my inner critic, wanting it to shut up, what of course is the natural desire, which makes it worse, because the inner critic is like, no, but you need me. You can't just stop me. Is to befriend this part. Say, okay, I hear you. I see you want to help me. Thank you. I see your underlying intention. Yeah? But let's talk for a moment. Let's have a dialogue. Yeah? So you think da-da-da-da-da. And then you want to go with your awareness to your heart. So usually the inner critic comes from the mind and is isolated to the rest. So what I try to do is try to visualize, and sometimes it takes a lot of practice, to let my energy from my head drop into my heart and into my belly. And then I take a deep breath in and out. Which already softens the inner critic, because the inner critic is connected to surviving. And the deeper we breathe, the less our body thinks we're in surviving state, and we can, relax a little bit. And then I start the conversation. Yeah, so it depends on what the inner critic says. But this is the inner dialogue. And in the beginning, maybe my inner critic didn't listen at all. It's like, going into, because it's like, I cannot trust. It's like, you can see it as an entity, as a being. And I started to give it a name. Yes, there, I don't remember what name anymore, but there comes Maria, whatever, again with her, and trying to help me. Okay, Maria, here you are. I put you on the table. Let's have a conversation. Let me try again. And by this, I always say, befriending this part. Because the problem is that it's isolated. So when I'm not integrating it with myself, I actually making the problem bigger, because this is the essence of the problem, is the disconnection. So you just try to have a conversation, breathe, and try to add a little bit of positive feedback. But what about this and this and this? So you're not denying the inner critic, but you're just adding a little bit more of other information. So there's a more round picture. And the more you practice it, the more you start to have a relationship with your inner critic. And then after a while, you can say, okay, now shut up. Yeah, with love, shut up. It's not the moment. But first we need to practice. because we practice the inner critic maybe for 30 years. It's wired in. It doesn't mean you need to practice for 30 years to counterbalance it, but it does take time, every day a little bit. Everyday moments for a conversation. And trust that eventually the inner critic wants to relax. It's overworked. It's actually really happy the moment it feels it can drop into your heart. Because it's like, oh my God, I don't need to do it alone. Yeah.
You know, it reminds me a lot of parts work from internal family systems. And there's a great book called No Bad Parts. And they talk a lot about going into the inner psyche and finding each part of you. And these ones, the inner critic, is in a category called the protector. And the protector is saying things like, don't do this weird thing. People aren't going to like you. They're going to, tell you to get out and they're not going to include you anymore. So, and it's there to protect you. And so in parts work, which is I think is actually extremely useful therapeutic practice, is it goes in and talks to that part and says, thank you for protecting me. What are you protecting me from? What are you afraid of? And then starts to ask permission. Hey, could you relax a little bit so I can have a conversation with my child part or my warrior part or whatever it is? And it's, there's a little controversy on this methodology, but I find it to be extremely useful. And I'm hearing by creating kind of a part or a persona around that inner critic, you're able to sort of talk to it, negotiate it, and it's an easy way to give it love and say, thank you for protecting me, and I know you're doing your job, and I would love, are you okay with just relaxing for a little bit? And I want to be a little bit more free or playful, and I'm going to allow myself to be weird and run around like a lion or whatever it is, whatever you're doing in the workshops. Yeah, I hear that a bit in that. Have you worked at all with parts work?
Yeah. I'm a psychologist, so it's a lot about starting the inner dialogue. And what you say, it's so beautiful. And what you say really nice, it's like, it's your protector. Yeah. So, and this is what we do in Tantra from the heart. It's, first of all, bringing things to the awareness. Yeah. Because if it's in the subconscious, what a lot of the patterns are, you cannot work with it. And it's just looping. So, and you also recognize it, that you're just looping in your life. And it's like, again, how is this? What's happening? And it means it needs to rise to the surface. It needs to be befriended. And then what you also say, and then it's so much easier to bring in love, because love is the biggest healer. And this is what's happening in an immersion. I call it immersions. So we immerse ourselves in the initiation immersions of Tantra from the heart, because there's a lot of interactions. Also moments with yourself. There's a lot of exercises that you maybe never done before, It's also be like, a lot of beautiful meetings, also triggers. It's like life is playing out in 4 or 5 days. And it's a huge opportunity to really let things come up to the surface. And that's why it's so powerful, because in daily life, you will be, okay, let's get our phone. Oh, let's just walk away, And then you stay in the space. Or you go to the side and you have a rest is also possible. But to stay in the space and say, okay, what is it showing me? What is it telling me? So this is where these immersions and Tantra comes in, is that it's a very inefficient and quick way. It brings things to the surface that sometimes can take so many years.
Yeah.
And then we bring in, besides that, the things come to the surface, we bring in the love, we bring in the laughter, we bring in the sexual creative life force energy, which is the essence of our being. We bring in the playfulness, the dance, the music. So it's not just about, let's go to the inner critic or let's heal these parts, but let's also awaken the ecstatic life force energy, which can carry this process of transformation. And then you have 2 things and many more things coming together, and then it becomes a transformational process. Instead of having to do the work, things start to move by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I've also noticed that in these immersives, when I've done retreats that are week-long or Tantra retreats, you can move something that you could talk about in therapy and talk therapy for years and years and years, and you can get it healed in an hour just through an embodied practice or something that, this is the beauty of some of this work for me, is it's like, oh my God, I've been trying to unpack this for a long time. And we just got out of a week-long, very intensive retreat that was a little dark and very intense, and sometimes felt like a sex cult, and had very deep and sometimes dark sexuality and rituals. And it reminds me of, like, I remember being a young Christian and my parents showed me this video on the occult, and it was like the evil occult. And I'm like, I remember being there last week together and going, this is literally exactly like that video that my Christian parents told me not to be doing. And some of it I resonated with, and some of it I didn't. And some of it was really transformational for me. And there was one particular one that was, we did this where we were looking at light masculine, light feminine, dark masculine, dark feminine, and you would go and give these sort of transmissions to each other, essentially. And I went with this one woman, and it was an older woman. I sat down, and her transmission is she just took me, put my head in her lap, and just started saying things like, I love you unconditionally, whatever you are, whoever you are, if you're gay, if you do drugs, if you move across the world, doesn't matter, I just love you. And she was given this transmission of the light feminine, which is unconditional love. And it just cracked me. And it was so clear to me at that moment that I had been seeking unconditional love from women, from partners, from community. And the aha moment was, I need to find this in myself. Because clearly, if I'm seeking in others, it means I don't have it to myself. And it's like, that's a hard thing to realize, is I don't unconditionally love myself. And I look back and it's true. It's true that I have that inner critic of, like, I need to be better. I need to heal this thing. If I help others, then I have value, instead of just feeling like, I love you as is. You're going to fuck some things up, and you're going to do your best. And there's so many amazing things about me, so it's like, that for me is an example of some of this transformative work where people can tell you things and you can talk about it for many, many years. I'm now 48, right? So, and it's like in an instant, in 5 minutes, it was clear. And I went and wrote down, I have to focus on finding unconditional love to myself. What does that look like? How do I do that? Or is it just a being? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to love the things that I shame myself about. Nicotine addiction. I shame myself so much on this. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not good for me. And why is that? What is it doing? And can I just love that part too of myself? So I think it's really beautiful. And I agree that getting into that embodiment of that work is transforming people's lives in a much faster way. Like, as a psychologist, were you working with therapy, and talk therapy? Is that like techniques that you learned?
I, anyway, always works very intuitive, and I combined regular therapy with yoga and meditation. And I would draw for people. I'm very bad at drawing. So I would create a drawing. I was like, okay, what's happening here? And when you say you're in a field like that and something comes to your awareness very quick, and then you know what to work with after the retreat. You're like, okay, now I know what kind of direction, because it came up to your awareness more clear through the interaction of another. And this I find so interesting nowadays. So in a way, we want to feel it all inside of ourselves. We want, and at the same time, we were never meant to do it alone. We are tribal people. We need every day a little hug. We need a little caress. And a moment of, you can do it, go out in the world. You feel, let's laugh about it for a moment to put it in perspective. We need support. We are wired for support, for connection. And then we can, and how to embody that inside. So I feel Tantra is the next step. So we first, if I generalize it, we're more tribal, and the tribe is first. And then we went into the individual, actually. Hey, what do I want? Hey. And then the yoga started to come up more, the breath work, healing, ice bath. And I get it inside of myself. More people went to therapy, to therapists, talking. And I think it's very important that we do the work alone. Okay, retreat, be with yourself in silence. It's super important. But now I believe the next step, or maybe the last, it's probably not the last step, but the next step is we need to heal together, because this is the cause of the problem. This is often where it started, was in the connection. So it's important to go back to the connection and then rewire it and do it differently. And this is where Tantra comes in. It's a huge opportunity in connection to heal and to see we're all far from perfect. We all have our challenges, and we all have this amazing life force energy that runs through us. We have huge potential. We can connect to amazing archetypes. So we are also really amazing, and we are really like very dysfunctional also. Yeah. So this is when the deep healing, I think, comes in now. And this is why I love the work. Because I really believe in the power of therapy. It's not just therapy always from the mind. It's very emotional. So it can be very also spiritual in a way, at least how I did it. So it's very important. I'm happy I had many years of therapy. It gave me a huge foundation. I grew up, through the therapist, constant feedback. But I felt it's half done. I felt half cooked. And then I moved to Copenhagen, and then I started the first time I went to a Tantra retreat, oh my God, I remember I went in and I was like, okay, because I heard about this guy, and I was like, okay, let me just do it. And I went in, and then I started with an eye gaze. And I thought in my mind, okay, I can do this, I'll do the eye gaze. And I felt really good in the beginning. I'm like, that's so beautiful. And after 1 minute, my lips started to shake. And it started to feel so insecure. And then the facilitator was, and now go beyond, see the beauty of these eyes, see the soul or something. And I was like, I'm so uncomfortable. And then shame came. Shame for somebody looking me in the eyes of all my insecurity came out. Because I have both. I could be very secure and like that, and also very insecure, but I tried to hide it. And it came up like this, and then being witnessed in that. And then moving through it. So it started to shake. And then after a while, I was like, okay, namaste, next one. And I did it again, my lips started to shake. And the third one, it started to slow down. So I realized I felt half cooked. And then in the Tantra, I started to learn, okay, how can I heal together? How can I heal in connection? How can I move through my insecurities, through my shame? How can I accept myself as I am? And at the same time, wanting to grow, they come together. How can I be safe inside of myself? How can I really take care of my boundaries and not follow what the group wants, or what is assumed? Like, how can I listen inside? So it was through the interaction and through the support and the reflection and the love that I felt I stepped into the next part. Of the healing and the transformation. And then celebration comes.
So let's get into the second theme, which is the fear of rejection. And you talked a lot about how people before, it was, if you're rejected, you're out of your tribe, you die, you don't have your resources, etc. That's hardwired in there. But fear of rejection is an interesting one. And I remember many years ago, my friend Felicity, she told me, I practiced getting rejected 3 times a day because I was terrified of it. So after a while, she was getting so brave, and she found that she wasn't getting rejected as much as she thought she would get rejected. So she started asking for free coffee at Starbucks, for discounts on things, for etc. And she started like cold calling and cold emailing famous people, asking them questions or asking them favors. And it turns out she got a lot of the things that she wanted. And I was doing a mentorship for one of my clients, and I gave her the same exercise as I want you to get rejected 3 times a day. 2 days later, she's like, Joe, yesterday, I just asked for a discount for my coffee and they gave it to me. And then I asked again and someone else just bought me one. And then she's like, and then someone was getting into a cab and I just went up to him and said, hey, can I ride in the cab with you someplace? And they just said yes. And they ended up having a nice conversation, going where they wanted to go. And then she asked for a free flight to go someplace for this workshop, and she got it. And she's like, what is this? This is an unlock in life, is the fear and getting over the fear of rejection and practicing that. And I often forget this lesson, and I need to bring it back into my life again of like, how can I go up and not be afraid of rejection and just go up? Because you act differently when you think you're going to get rejected. If I'm like, hey, I would like to do this workshop with you, and I think you're going to reject me because maybe you're the one I really want to do this practice with. And you're like, no, thank you. I'm like, okay, thank you. I was expecting that. So you approach it differently. And what I'm noticing is when we can really get into that fear of rejection, and when I do in workshops, I was teaching at I Am Creation retreat a couple of weeks ago, and I started out with this exercise where I said, because in the beginning, everyone's going, they're hugging each other and trying to create community. And it's very beautiful. It's created very quickly. And there's a lot of people that are just like, what if I don't want to hug this person? What if I don't want to do this exercise? What if I don't want to stare in someone's eye? You know, there's a difference if it's an uncomfortable for growth or if it's over your boundaries. So I literally just get them to stand in front of each other and ask questions. Would you like $100? And you would just say no. And whatever I ask, you just say no to it. And you just say no to all the questions. And the exercise is just practicing. How do you feel when you say no and you actually want to say yes? Tuning into that feeling. And then we do it with yeses. You say yes. May I slap you? Yes. May I kiss you? Yes. May I take you on a trip? Yes. And you practice that. And then afterwards, I just have them go around and say, would you like to be my partner for this exercise? And your only job is just to say, no, thank you. That's it. And you practice that with 4 or 5 people. You just ask everyone and they just say, no, thank you. You don't give a reason. You don't give an explanation. No, I'm really sorry. I'm not feeling well right now. I have a boyfriend. You don't give any explanation. You say, no, thank you. And you own your own desires, right? And this happens a lot. I'm guessing in your work, you do a lot of boundaries and desires. So what work do you do around getting people over the fear of rejection?
Yeah, so as you just described, I also do things like this in the workshop. So it's like exposure. It's like the fear of rejection is one of the biggest saboteurs for really fully living life, for fully using our potential. And often this fear is so subconscious that we make choices based on this unconscious fear of rejection that we're not even aware of. And then we're like, hey, life is not flowing. I'm not stepping into opportunities. Hey, I'm not getting the relationship I want. And often this fear of rejection is the saboteur of living your full potential. Yeah, so it's essential to work with it. Yeah, and especially in Tantra. In Tantra, we want to let the energy flow. We want to work with the life force. We want to go beyond the mind, beyond the surviving mechanism. And rejection is directly connected to fear of surviving. So that's why it's so important in retreats to work with this, to learn to relax into it. And to play with it, to even laugh about it, and to again realize we're not alone in it. So just by being in the retreat, you have enough exposure because there's always something good. Because this person wants to work with this person, and this one with this one, and this one. So there's always some kind of rejection happening, and this is what I say: I invite it in, I welcome it, we talk about it. I give examples of myself. I also have this fear of rejection, you know. When I go to retreats, I'm often actually really awkward. So I give the allowance, I give it love, I give it presence. We talk, especially the talking about it. And there's also tools on how to work with it. But one is just being in the field and being exposed to it. Because most of the time in daily life, we will do anything to prevent it. So we don't learn to work with it. So this is number one, just being in the field, doing some exercises already opens up this fear, and then you already get the opportunity to, how to breathe with it, how to be with it. And another thing is that this sort of fear of rejection is something very heavy, very contracting the solar plexus, contracting the self-esteem. And then I just play a beautiful song suddenly. So the system is like, I feel so horrible and let's fully identify. But actually, that's such a nice song and let's dance for a moment. And then I make a stupid joke and let's breathe into our lifers energy. Let's open our bodies up. Let's really, expand ourselves. So often we do the opposite of what the contraction and the rejection wants. Because it tries to isolate. You're the only one, you're alone. And then no, I'm not alone. Let's dance with it. And I would like to share a little story about what made me really moved through, not all of it, but a part of my fear of rejection. It was many years ago in Copenhagen. I was dating men. Before, when I was younger, I had amazing boyfriends, and they were really like, I was healthy relationships. They were there, present, emotionally connected, but I was missing something. I needed some more spice, some more challenge. And then in that period in my life, I started to have connections with men that actually were emotionally not really there. They didn't really connect. They wanted to connect and then create distance, And I was playing this game with them. Somewhere I got intrigued, and there was some unconscious reason why I did it. And then I was sitting in my house and I was like, Leonie, I'm done with this pattern because they're not giving me anything, but I got so attracted by them. And then I was already living in Copenhagen. In Copenhagen, everything goes in super speed. Of course, I had a neighbor. And this neighbor, Alejandro, from Spain, was living next door. And we met, and he was very nice and charming, but my subconscious, my intuition was like, don't step into this story. Now it's time to not do it, because I felt again this pattern of push and pull and not really being there. But he was so charming, funny, intelligent, and I had spiders in my house. I had terrified for spiders. So every time there was a spider, I screamed. And then Alejandro would come next door, and he also would bring some chocolate and some tea, and we would talk. So slowly I started to be mesmerized by Alejandro. And then eventually we did make love. But also in the lovemaking, I felt a little bit I was missing really the heart energy. Like, I love the wild lovemaking, but I love it when it's centered also in the heart. And then we were hanging out like for 2 weeks, and in that time I was really not about openness. And now it depends, but and so I thought, okay, we're hanging out together, so we're not in a relationship, but we have some kind of commitment, or at least that we talk with each other if something happens with someone else. And then I went to this workshop with him also. He was there. I was about with Ganesha, ancient Tantra workshop, and burning and fire rituals, and he was there. And suddenly I saw him sitting in front of me with this other woman, really beautiful white outfit, very tantric or whatever that means. And I thought, I think something is happening there. But why is he not communicating with me? And I wasn't sure. And then that night I went to bed, and I was living in this wooden house, and he had this wooden house. And I hear loud, like, lovemaking, banging next door, like, really, like, my bungalow was shaking, it was shaking. And first thought, I woke up and I was like, what an asshole, how can he do this? No respect. How can he think he can just do this? At least when you do it, be a little bit more quiet, tell me later. But I couldn't sleep, and it was in the middle of the night. So, and so I was pissed off. I wanted to run upstairs and also tell her, you cannot just do this. Like, what? And then suddenly the voice came. So first I went to anger, and I felt rejected, but I was like in anger, responding to anger. And then suddenly the rejection started to go more inwards. I was like, no, but Leonie, you're just not good enough, you're not beautiful, interesting enough. It's because you're not worthy. So that's why you found this other woman. So then I had that story of the victim. And then slowly my higher self got in, and she was like, Leonie, I heard this voice. Now is the time. Or you will repeat this pattern and keep on falling in this trap. Or now you're going to surrender and really allow what's under it to move through you. So my bungalow was like, shaking and moving still, all these sounds, so loud, very loud making. And then I stood up, I stretched my arms up, and I was like, okay, give it to me. Give it to me, let this rejection heal me, let me fully feel this pain that's under it, this low self-esteem, these stories, this, from deep. So I was standing there, and the bungalow was shaking me. I was shaking with them, I was moving and inviting him, and everything started to shake and everything started to move, and I had full surrender, full acceptance, no more story. No more on the victim, but this is my creation. And then I shake, and I start to laugh. I was laughing. I was like, what is this? And later I heard, when you heal the solar plexus, which is very connected to the fear of rejection, and laughter comes. So I laughed and the next day I went back to the workshop, and I saw Alejandro, and Alejandro was a little bit because he was not very direct in his communication. He was also great, sometimes we still send messages, but he was like, like this, and I walked up to him, and I was very clear in my boundaries. And Alejandro, I really don't appreciate this. I don't want connection with you anymore. I really don't like what happened, but thank you. I'm very grateful. And Alejandro was like, what? Because he expected drama, and I felt he was someone that liked drama. So he tried to, but I see, then I was like, no, it's good. It's done. But thank you. And after that, I was not interested anymore in men that were not fully there, not emotionally connecting me. I didn't find it attractive anymore. It healed. So the moral of this story, this long story, is that when we feel rejected, our instinct is to protect ourselves. It's coming from surviving, to make ourselves small. And we want to learn to do the opposite and say, give it to me, because rejection shows us the parts that we don't love yet of ourselves. Where do we still need to bring love? Where do we need to bring healing? This is what it shows us. So if we understand that concept, instead of something is done to me, no, something is given to me because it will bring me healing, and we open up, especially our solar plexus, and we allow ourselves to go beyond the story of it shouldn't happen. No, it's happening. And what do you feel under it? What still needs your love? Then it can even become pleasurable. It becomes like, oh my God, this is the biggest moment. It can even become arousing, because there's a full allowance. The blockage goes off, and then when the blockage goes off and it opens, our sexual creative life force energy, our essence opens. So that's why it can even be arousing when you're like, oh my God. So this is a big rewiring, that we go from existing it shouldn't, and I'm the only one, there's something wrong with me. No, it's a gift. I open to it, I breathe with it, I surrender, and I even make love to it. I'm like, okay. And this is a very big thing, because you go from deep wired of the hundreds and thousands of years of there's something wrong, you're in danger, to it's something actually that is beautiful, that can even be juicy. So it's a big transformation. But the moment we are able to kind of tune into that, it can make a huge difference in our lives. It opens up our potential. So it's essential to work with it. It's one of the foundational things we work in Tantra retreats. Yeah, and then rejection becomes something beautiful.
So the challenge is, go try to get rejected 3 times a day. Let's start again, actually. If you want to unblock your fear of rejection, the challenge is, go get rejected 3 times a day. And if you do get rejected, take it as a gift. Open up your body to it. Bring it in. And then celebrate the times that you think you're going to get rejected and you don't. And then you end up with a bunch of things that you didn't think you could have before.
Yeah, and you realize it's a story. So I always say rejection is a story, because it tells the story you're less worthy. Because this happened, you're less valuable. You're always valuable. So I always say, like, rejection is a secondary reaction of something. It's not the reality. So can we catch the story on time? And another thing with rejection is actually, so our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So when we feel rejected, it actually means we are rejecting ourselves inside, and it just comes together. So the moment we don't reject ourselves anymore, then we don't even experience things as a rejection. Because that's the thing with rejection. For some people, if you say, tonight I don't have any time, they can see, oh my God, I'm totally rejected, there's something wrong with me. And the other one is like, the person just doesn't have time. So it's very subjective. Yeah, so it depends on how much do you accept yourself. And if you don't accept yourself and you reject yourself a lot, you will find rejection everywhere. Every day you will find rejection.
The third common theme that you're seeing in this work is self-worth. So let's talk about that a little bit, because it feels very connected to these other ones, the inner critic, the fear of rejection, etc. And I think you've talked a lot about that. Do you see self-worth as something different?
It's very connected. And the other day I had an insight also. So we have our self-worth on the personal level. So if you look at children, they constantly need to have a reflection, like, oh, amazing, you did really well, So you need to build your self-worth, the healthy self-esteem through the other.
Yeah.
This is how we build it. And then later in life, if you had enough reflection, also not too much, like, oh, you're so amazing, and then you think you're the most amazing person, and then you also can get low self-esteem if somebody doesn't see you like that. So it needs to be a right balance of reflection. But most of us don't get this right reflection. We grow up and we're already really young, think there's something wrong, and we need to prove ourselves. We need to do something to feel valuable. So many of us, first of all, we need to build healthy self-esteem. And it means is realizing in some things we are amazing. What are our qualities? Yes, we can say I'm really good at it because this is my gift to the world. Many people don't dare to stand for it.
Right.
The other thing is like, one category is I still want to develop this, I want to grow in this. And one category is like, I'm never going to be good at this. I'm just really bad and I'm okay with that. I'm not interested in growing. If it will come, amazing. So then we have a more round feeling of self-worth that is healthy. Yeah, so self-worth doesn't mean like, oh, I'm always amazing. No, sometimes I'm really not amazing, but I love myself anyway. So many of us, we first need to develop this healthy sense of self-esteem, and then we can relax into it. And this is how I see the connection between Tantra and psychology and Tantra. So psychology can really help to build your self-esteem and to relook at this. And also see where is it coming from, that you have issues there. And the more it's healthy, the more we can actually let go of it. Because that's what we do in Tantra. It's a letting go, it's a surrender. Yeah. But if you never build it healthy, you cannot also let go of it. Yeah, it's the same with boundaries. In Tantra, we want to eventually let go of boundaries to dissolve into oneness. But we can only let go of boundaries if we have healthy boundaries. So it's such a contradiction. In a way, you need to be very clear on your boundaries, and because then the surviving system feels safe and you can surrender into oneness, because the moment you're not safe on the physical plane, the body will call you back and you're like, okay, I'm here for you. Yeah, because we're body and we're spirit. We're a surviving mechanism and soul. Yeah. Yeah, so self-worth, in a way, in Tantra retreats, you can get more healthy reflections from people. Yeah, so we have exercises that people look at you in totality. They look also in your eyes. They see the colors of your soul, your quality. So we have a lot of beautiful exercises that you're like, wow, I didn't see myself like this. Yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful to get the reflection from the outside. And at the same time, in Tantra, we want to learn to drop the whole story of self-esteem. It doesn't exist. We are love. We are it. We vibrate it. We come from it. So it's not something we need to gain or I said it develop. And at the same time, I'm saying, yeah, you need to develop and gain it. So it's really combining this human aspect of our development. So this is the contradiction, and this is why I love the work. So we really work on so many layers. We are human beings and we need healthy reflection. We need others also to help us to build healthy self-esteem, just like children. We want to, in a way, develop healthy self-esteem that is balanced, and that comes a lot through interaction. And at the same time, we want to stop playing the game. Am I worthy? Am I not worthy? Am I worthy? Am I not worthy? Yeah, and this is connected to the fear of rejection also. So then if we take it to the spiritual interpretation, or is it at level? And we want to realize that we are love. We are breathing. So we're worthy of life. We are worthy of being. We're worthy of love. We are on the planet. We're in this amazing body that's, that's so complex. So the contradiction is that in a way we want to develop healthy self-esteem. And places like these are really beautiful for that. To finally get reflections more also from soul level, from totality. And at the same time, we want to learn to let go of the story and realize who we are deep inside. That we are love. We are vibrating energy. We are amazing. We're amazing creatures, or whatever we are. Yeah, they come from love. It's the base, it's the origin, it's the blueprint. So then the whole story dissolves. Yeah, but to be able to do that, my experiences and my belief is that we first need to create a healthy sense of self-esteem that is balanced. And from there we can surrender into that we're loved. That is a story that actually we were always loved.
So how does someone get a healthy self-esteem, or how could they upgrade their self-esteem? What are some ways to do it? Let's say they can't fly to Thailand and spend 5 days with you. What are some suggestions you would have to help that self-esteem?
How does someone create healthy self-esteem? So there's many different tools. Also myself, I worked so much with it because my self-esteem, I didn't realize. I thought it was good until I started to do meditation, all kinds of practices, and I started to see I'm actually very insecure. And so there's a few tools that I did a lot. So the power in creating healthy self-esteem is a lot about repetition. It's not something you forget. It would be amazing, right? One reflection, okay, enough. It's a repeating. It's a brainwashing because you got brainwashed into low self-esteem. So you need to brainwash yourself. So it takes time every day. Yeah. So every day you want to give it a little bit of water, a little bit of sunlight, and then it starts to grow. So this is first of all, give it time, give it attention every day. And then you have simple tools. One is what I said, like write down 3 categories. Yeah. About yourself. So you want to create the building blocks of your being and write it down. Say, okay, where am I really good at? What are my talents? And the other category is, what do I still need to develop? And where am I never going to be good at? And if you write that down, and you will see it will change also the categories, you get some healthy sense of who you are. What is your place in the world? And it's not rigid. It's not like this is how it is. But it's a way like, okay, this is kind of how I function. And if somebody criticizes me on this, I'm okay with it because anyway, it's not my quality. Right. So when we know what our qualities are and our gifts, and we all have it, amazing, unique gifts in the world, it's much easier to deal with criticism. Yeah. And to see the parts that are not so good in us and not so amazing. So this is one way also to work with it. Is to focus a bit more, at least much more, on where are you good at? What is maybe you're a very friendly person and you always, I don't know, help people to cross the street. I'm just saying something. It's an amazing quality. Yeah, maybe you're super successful earning money. Maybe that's your quality, you know? It doesn't need to be something big or something, but what is your gift to the world? So to focus instead of on the negatives, but what is actually what you're bringing into the world? Yeah. So this is one of the ways.
But what is the practice for that?
Yeah,
so what I heard is, one, you write down what you're really good at, the things that you need development on, and things that maybe you're never going to be amazing at, which I actually might argue against, that's a limiting belief, but different conversation. So I hear you write down those 3 things and you water that and work with that every day. How do you work with it, Leonie?
Yeah, so it's not rigid. It's more like, to give an example, I had a huge list of myself of all the things I had to improve. Mm-hmm. And then I started to put it in the category, this is probably never going to happen. And I felt so relaxed. And then maybe it did happen still. But at least I first dropped into acceptance and put the pressure off, you know? So this is the idea behind it, that some things, it's okay, because we're not designed to be good at everything. We're designed to be in tribe, and everybody has their gift. And some things are really bad. And it's beautiful. That creates the beauty of the tribe. And it doesn't mean it's set in stone. So write it down. Every day, brainwash yourself. And you will see it will also change. But there comes a deep feeling of self-acceptance and also standing for where are you good at? And be healthy, have some healthy pride. And this is why I'm here. You know, this is why I'm on the planet.
But again, I'm not sure what we're supposed to do after we write it down every day. What do we do every day?
Yeah, so you don't
write it down every day?
Yeah, you write it down.
Every day you're writing this down.
Imagine you do it for 1 month, you write it down every day. So by writing down, you talk to the subconscious and you rewire your system. So the neurons starts to communicate with each other. And then it starts to become alive in you. And then you will notice in the conversation that somebody criticizes you. And usually it would be like, oh, wow. And then you're like, oh, yeah, it just goes by. You're like, how is this possible? I didn't even put a technique, but it's because you've been practicing before. You've been training your brain. You've been training into self-acceptance, into, becoming more aware of what is amazing about you. Yeah, so you feel more whole. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is the following. Let me know if this works, and then you can repeat it if you want. But one practice you can do to increase your self-worth is every day write down what you're amazing at, what you're good at. What are some areas that you need some more development in? And what are the things that you're probably never going to be amazing at? And then by just recognizing each of those and brainwashing yourself back into just being like, I am amazing at those things. That creates more self-worth. And here's some things that need some development, but it's great. That'll come in my time and I'm going to work on it and I'm worthy and I can do it. And here's the things that I can let go. So does that resonate?
Yeah. And it's
try
sorry.
repeating that all back, like almost how I said it, like here's a practice that you can do.
So to work on your self-esteem, here's a practice which you can do. You take a pen and a piece of paper. You have a little book which you can use as almost as a sketchbook. Yeah. At the end of you use it for a month. Maybe at the end you'll burn it. Yeah. Till then the practice is finished. So in this book you will write every day. Yeah, and it can take even 5 minutes. So maybe you will write the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter. But you write 3 categories. And in these 3 categories, so one category is writing what you kind of, from reflection from others, through your life experience, have an idea like, I'm actually pretty good in that. I can stand for that. Because we have often a lot of shame in thinking, I'm good, I'm arrogant. No. We can stand for that, and maybe we're disillusional. You will find it out, and it gets into a different category, but write it down. Yeah. So this is very important that we feel what is our value that we bring to the planet, to others, to life. And then the second category is like, I still want to develop some things that I'm not so good at, but I'm curious. Maybe I will, maybe I will develop it. Maybe it's not going to happen, but let me put that in a category. And the third category is like, okay, it's probably never going to happen and I'm still lovable. I'm totally not perfect. I call it always my little idiot. I love my little idiots. I can be so ridiculous. And the past was so shameful. When the moment I put it in the category, my whole nervous system started to relax. Yeah, so this is the idea. And it's not a rigid thing. It's a flexible thing. And it's more to awakening your subconscious that you're okay who you are and you can stand for your qualities. And you want to repeat it over and over again, because then the subconscious really starts to take it in and really believe it and feel it and integrate it in your body. So this is the power of repetition. So that's why you want to do it for 1 month, every day. And then suddenly you will notice in a conversation that somebody criticizes you or something happens. And instead of you getting triggered or feeling less, you're like, it's okay. Because you know yourself. So this exercise is about knowing yourself, which of course can change, but this is kind of who I am. And then we can relax in our self-being. And when we relax inside, we relax in our self-worth.
Beautiful. I'm going to try it. So in this exercise of increasing self-worth, the first step is to say all the things that I'm really good at and love about myself. Then I'm going to do the things that I know need some development. And then also the things that I'm going to kind of let go of, the things that maybe I haven't been great at my whole life and I probably won't be great at them. And so I'll try.
Yeah, give me some feedback.
Yeah, I am, let's see, I'm really good at making people feel safe. I'm a good communicator. I'm good at creating systems and processes and helping people execute those. I'm good at helping people uncover their soul purpose. I'm good at talking really low and deep. I'm good at playfulness and the things that maybe need some development.
Yeah, in one moment you can give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze, really integrate it in the body and say, wow, this is so beautiful. And it doesn't mean you're better than others or whatever, but this is just your gift.
Yeah, I'm good at these things.
And
I know it. So the things that need some development is, one, I've learned recently, I need to find more unconditional love to myself. I know I could upgrade my ability to communicate in softer ways sometimes. Sometimes I'm a little too direct and a little harsh. And maybe I need to work on my discipline a little bit more with my body and making sure I don't get out of my habits of taking care of my body and working out and taking my vitamins and longevity things. And the things that maybe I'm never going to be amazing at is like learning languages. Been really bad at that my whole life. And I still really struggle with that. And maybe being an incredible visual artist, maybe not something that I'm never going to be incredible at. And I've played with that over my life and I enjoy it. And now I can let those things go and say, you know what? I don't have to be amazing at language. I can learn at my own pace. And if I get there, I get there, and I'll make some efforts on that when it makes sense. And as far as art goes, I can just do it for love. I can do it for my own enjoyment. And I can let go of trying to practice my handpan or guitar, and I can just do that for my own pleasure. And then I would gonna write that down, and every day write that down and feel the self-worth. And over time, you're saying that's going to go more and more into my subconscious. I can let go of that inner critical parts of what I'm not amazing at. And then I can give love to the things that I'm developing. And then I can hold and give love to myself and feel that worthiness of the things that I am really good at. Now let's hear yours.
I want to give a little reflection. So what you just described is a huge medicine for the inner critic. By doing this, the inner critic naturally starts to dissolve. It just happens by itself. Yeah. So that's why it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for that practice. And hopefully people out there might find it useful and might try it. And message us if it works. And message us if it doesn't work.
Actually, like, what's this?
Whoa.
It's horrible. Yeah, and it's I now know, but it took me many years. But I know, and I think it's still funny actually, because I never was like that. I know I'm very good in leading groups with love and with wisdom. So more through invitation. This is where I'm really good at. I'm really good in following my intuition, going beyond my rational mind, tuning into the field and feeling where is an unbalance, what is needed. So I'm very good in listening inside of myself, and I'm good in tuning into others and really feel what's under the story, what's under what they try to communicate. How can I connect on that deeper level? So this is one of my qualities. I'm good in playfulness. I'm very good in playing, in awakening the life force energy. I can be funny. I can be funny. I can laugh about things that some people are like, they don't laugh, but I laugh because I can put things in perspective very easily through seeing the beauty. Yeah, so what I'm good at is bringing playfulness. Playfulness in so many situations that are taken too serious, and then the energy gets stuck. So through playfulness, laughter, silly jokes, I work with energy, I open up, and I can help others also. Yeah, so these are one of my qualities. And the ones I try to develop already for a long time is more structure in my life. Yeah, having more awareness of time. Because I'm very good actually in timeless space. Oh wait, I want to do this over again. Yeah?
Okay, so we're going to start this whole section from the beginning. So start with, okay, I'll do this practice for myself. I'll give an example of that. The self-worth practice.
Yeah, so to give an example of myself in this self-worth practice is for me what comes up if I go to the category, what is my gift to the world and where I'm good at, where I now finally dare to stand for, is that I'm very good in leading people, leading groups, really tuning into the fields, and lead with invitation, lead with love and clarity. So this is one of the things I discovered in the last years, that now I know, yeah, I'm good at this. I'm also very good, yes, in listening to my intuition, connecting the dots. I get a lot of information on different layers, and I love to connect everything. And from there, tune into it and then express myself. So I'm good in really tuning into different layers at the same time. And lately I started to develop that I can also express it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is something I'm getting good at. Yeah, I'm good at that. And I'm also good at bringing playfulness, lightness to things that are very challenging. Things that can be even really dark, to bring in the playfulness, the beauty, of what's happening there underneath, the lessons that are there. So this is also one of my qualities, to bring lightness. The things I still want to develop, and I'm trying. And maybe it will go in the third category, but at least I give it a try, because I want to take better care of my environment. I'm very good in timeless space, and I'm very bad in real time, in linear space, linear time. In really being realistic of what you can do in a day, being on time on appointments. It got better, so I'm really working on it. I'm trying to be less often late and really try to be more on time. It's getting better. I try to have a better structure in the morning. Say, okay, what is my direction? I'm asking help from people to train me. So really this practical part in my life is in development. Yeah, and this is something I'm still working on. And I see, I wonder how far it will get me.
Sure.
And where I'm really not good at, there's many things I'm not good at. And I'm actually happy about it because it creates my talents also. So I'm really bad at, and it's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna be somebody behind a computer programming. I'm never gonna build a house myself. I'm never gonna fix something in the house. I'm so bad. Things fall apart. I'm never gonna be fully organized and I will always, make a divine mess of certain things. And I will always be bad in orientating myself. I'm so silly. I never have a clue exactly where I am. And I always drop things. I lose things. Yeah, it's got better, but a part of me, my rational brain, sometimes just doesn't work. And it's really like, it's just, it's like I need to go through a tunnel and then now it's working. Sometimes I have it, but often I don't, it's not working anymore. So I just need to ask help there and support and listen to other people on how to manage daily life. Yeah, so I accept that I create a mess, and often it's a divine mess because it creates new things. But that, yeah, again, my little idiot inside, that is sometimes just not connecting the dots. So no logic and just missing the point of the most simple practical things on how to get from A to B, for example. Yeah, so this is
Thank you
my
for your
version.
vulnerability on that. Beautiful. And it's interesting because something I've noticed in life in general is we become experts at the things that we need the most for ourselves. So if I say I'm a connection expert, it's because that's what I need the most for myself. It means that I need to learn it for me. And then in the process, we share it with others. And so I believe that until someone that's an expert can admit that to themselves, it's like I am a vulnerability expert, Brene Brown. It's because she needs that for herself because she's really bad at it, right? And so she needed to learn the skills and to upgrade it. And so, you're doing this tantric work. Why do you need it for yourself?
Oh, that's so many reasons. Because at the moment I started to do this work and I finally had a kind of a program book. Before it was a lot spontaneous. I started to look at it one day and I was like, this is what I need to learn. Every exercise is a reflection of something I want to embody in my life. I need to embody. So first of all, realizing that, it's like, wow. It's like, yeah, we're in the field together. Even though I'm the facilitator, I'm also the participant.
Yeah.
And why I need Tantra in my life is so many reasons. Where to start? Who doesn't need it? No, but especially me. Why do I need it in my life? Because first of all, it's for me the biggest healer. Yeah, so I had so many traumas in my childhood. Also some things were good, but a lot of things actually were very unsafe. But I find my way, and for a long time I had a good life, but I had my defense mechanisms. And then I did Vipassana many, many years ago. And then a lot of stuff started to come to the surface that was really repressed. And I started to get a lot of night terrors, a lot of nightmares. So it really influenced my daily life, my functioning. So this is also one of the things that brought me to Tantra. First of all, psychology. And then to Tantra because I saw it's such a big healer. And it's not just healing through talking or through releasing, but it's healing also with love, with presence. And this is the biggest healer. So it was for me like an amazing place to go to, and is to really not only go to the pain, go to the suffering, but also go to the beauty at the same time. And this is what I needed. And the deeper the traumas are and the more painful they are, the more important it is to bring in the love. And this is, I feel that Tantra really offers. Because it helps you to remind you of your inner essence. And when we understand our inner essence is love, then from there we can go into the stories, into the pain and the unprocessed emotion. So the starting point is different. And in psychology, it was a lot about the pain and the suffering. How can we fix it? And here we bring it together. So this was one thing that really helped me so much. And the other thing why I love Tantra is the celebration. It's also really fun. It's beautiful. It's divine. It's like multidimensional. It's life running through you. It's exciting. Like in one moment you're in like, oh my God, what am I doing? In other moment you're like in magic. It's magic. And I love magic. Magic is one of the playfulness and magic and wisdom are the three things I thrive on. It's my natural ecstasy. So the magic that can happen there, because we go beyond the rational mind and we go into a field and an exploration and we do what we usually wouldn't do, or it's a beautiful experiment and it's life, it's real, it's authentic. People drop their shields, they drop their defense mechanisms. So for me, it makes me real. It makes me authentic. It makes me feel deeper. It reminds me again of what is really true inside. And why am I here? What is my essence? Where am I breathing from? Where am I feeling from? So it deeply, deeply connects me to myself. And in my life for a long time, I felt lost. I still feel lost, but in a good way, I still don't know where I'm going. And it's beautiful, but in a different way, not in a like stressful way. So it really helped me to tune into myself and to really enjoy the multi-dimensional being that I am. And I felt sometimes a lot actually in modern society, it's in the Netherlands where I'm from, it's very rational and it's very from the mind and I'm not designed for that. So I felt in Tantra, but it was so important. I felt at home, I can be my awkward self. I can be my amazing self. I can be my beautiful self. I can be my fearful self. Yes, I felt like coming home, go home to myself and home also to connection. Just being together. The connection. Yeah, and I think this is, it really touches me because I missed it so much when I was really living in the Netherlands. The connection was a lot about, or with friends, yeah, and especially when I grew up, I had a lot of physical connection, just love, just connection, just breathing together. And then the older you get, it becomes more sexual. It's sexual and they have a connection. So in my past, I slept with a lot of men actually that I was not fully into, but I just was looking for physical love, connection, just being. And then I went into the sexual, and actually later I was like, actually, I'm not sure I wanted it. And in Tantra, I realized there's so many different ways of connection. You can connect through breathing together, through, we were touching each other's feet under the table, we're breathing and being. And this really relaxes me. There's a beautiful connection of presence. It can be a sensual connection. It can be more like you feel like somebody's more like a mother to you, nourishing, or a divine father. It can be very sensual. So it can be just skin to skin. It can be energetically. So this is what really just connecting without having to do anything, without having to prove, without having to be something, just be. And this, oh my God, just being. And in the retreats, often I bring people in the cuddle puddle and I just let them lie down after exercise and allow them to be. And then we play music and we breathe and we need to make sure everybody's comfortable. And you see people melting. And this is exactly why I love Tantra, because it gives you the allowance to just be, to just breathe, to be a human being in your primal form.
Yeah. Sounds beautiful. I'm sold. So where do I sign up? And where do people sign up? They come to Copenhagen, to Tantra from the Heart. What are the websites? How often do these happen? Tell people about this. What's the Instagram? How do they find you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's called Tantra from the Heart, the Instagram, and also Facebook Tantra from the Heart. And I'm mainly based in Copenhagen. And I do workshops, immersion every 3 weeks. And I'm there, kind of. We have an initiation immersion, level 1, then a level 2. Initiation couples immersion also. And I'm going to go to, I also have a Europe tour again. So I'm going to have one more workshop when I go back to Copenhagen, but it's in a few days. And then I'm going to go to a beautiful festival, the European Tantra Festival, teach there. And then I will be, where will I be? It's not really my quality to remember where I'm going to be.
How does someone sign up to find out about these?
Bristol. I'm going to go to Bristol, Cologne. And we have an amazing retreat in June in Italy. Really beautiful. So how to find out, go to the website, tantrafromtheheart.com. Go to the Facebook page, Tantra from the Heart. Instagram. And there you can find, and soon we're going to publish the schedule for July, August, September. Yeah, so
amazing.
A lot of events happening.
So if you want to experience this with Leonie Louis, I have to say, I interview a lot of people and I feel your authenticity and your vulnerability and so such a lack of ego in this work. It feels really refreshing, or I really feel you and as a real person. It makes me trust you. When I ask that hard question of why do you need this for yourself, some people go into defensive mode, proving mode, and you just went straight into it. So thank you for being here. Leonie Louis, Tantra from the Heart. Thank you guys for learning more and sticking with us to the end to talk more about the connection that we have with ourselves and others. So I'm Joe Che. I have a lot of tools, free tools for you that help you connect more with yourself, podcasts, AIs. You join my mailing list. I just give away stuff all the time. I have workshops to help you with your soul purpose. And I work with women from 31 to 43 to help them execute some of these visions. So if this was Leonie 7 years ago and she came and said, I have a vision of creating a Tantra school, I could have helped you create the structures and the organization, the masculine business structures. So it gives me a lot of pleasure and joy to see, especially the feminine, come into their soul's purpose and then create the structures to make a lot of money that can help support the impact that's in the world. And it feels like you're really giving a lot of impact with the initiations and the trainings you're doing. So thank you guys for joining us, and hope to see you again soon. Ciao.
Thank you.